Headshots so sharp, they drill holes in elites. And I'm talking over 30% more headshot damage than your average AR. That's the first sight named AK-47, and it's a hidden gem. On the right build, this thing pounds on heads. Stick around, I'm gonna give you the build you need to turn this thing into a beast.
Extended division! This is a war you can't win!
Piece of shit wristwatch.
Freak out, yo!
Banditos, what up, your boy Tux here. You can get this from the Loot Goblin when he comes around for special events, which I think he's going to be around for the Halloween special event that's coming in just a day or two. The first sight comes with a perfect headshot damage stat right out of the gate, which is 30% more than other ARs, and that's without mods. Maybe that doesn't sound like a lot, but put it into perspective. It's like adding 3 headshot mods to your setup. That's huge. But you might be thinking, the Bighorn's the king of headshot AR builds. And yeah, it's in the mix for sure. But mod this thing up and First Sight pulls ahead with 20% more headshot damage at base, a bigger base damage punch, and a larger magazine. The handling is way better than the Bighorn, and it lets you pick your favorite talent to round it out. The thing about the Bighorn is that it's only headshots. You need to land headshots to stack it, you need to land headshots to maintain it, and you need to land headshots to use the damage. The First Sight allows you to blend damage because you can put whatever talent you want and mix it with crits. So my favorite move, pairing it with the Pristine Example for some serious damage synergy. And with it, we have a blended headshot crit build, zeroing in on elevated headshots, and with the handling tuned for max accuracy, your performance hits its peak. All right, let's unpack this build. The talent I'm deciding to go with, and you'll see why, but Stabilize. So firing your weapon increases weapon accuracy by 1% and weapon stability by 1% per shot, up to 60%. If you stop firing, the bonus resets after 4 seconds, so you have enough time to reload. And then I'm running the 8x scope for 30% more headshot damage. I have the extended mag, and then I have a little stability boost here for the underbarrel. And I'm running 4 pieces of striker. One of the reasons is because I don't want to lean heavily on crit. I want raw damage, so amp damage is the ticket. So we got more weapon handling, rate of fire up by 15%, and Striker's Gamble, which is giving us amplified damage on stacks. And then we have weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage. Then all the pieces look the same. I am running the backpack with more crits, and this pushes up our amplified damage per stack to 0.90% per stack. We have 100 of those. And then on my knees, I have crit chance. On the holster, I have crit damage. And then, of course, the Pristine Example chest piece. Now, it might look odd because it's an Araldi piece with marksman rifle damage, but perfect focus will outpace regular focus on something like a Fenris, a Cheska, or a Grupo. So this is the right move. And then you have crit damage, crit chance, and then perfect focus basically gives you more damage while you're in scope. Now, there's some tricks to this, so I'm going to show you those in some of the gameplay after we walk through the build. And then the Overdogs, which is the new exotic we got this season, for 30% more amp damage to the lowest tier enemy on the field. For the backup weapon, I recommend the Rock and Roll or any ACS shotgun to build up stacks quickly when you kick off the fight. And then for the pistol, I'd run the Tempest since you have room to do so. I'm running a shield, and then I have the Reviver Hive, Gunner for more ammo, but the 10% armor on kill is extremely helpful. And finally, for the mods, so we got Divide and Conquer, and the RPMs feel great on this weapon. I'm using Zealot so I can push out of cover, Rupert's Tear to break Heavy's armor. We have Stepping Stone for special ammo, and then this is a flexible slot depending on who we're fighting. For crits, I'm running 45% crit chance, 105% crit damage, and then 135% headshot damage. Remember, crit damage and headshot damage add together in the end if you're critting on the head. So when that happens, that's 240% crit damage on those headshots, and then the amps. So an assault rifle with the Pristine Example is one of the strongest combos you can run in the game. And there's some tricks, and once you get those down, you just get peak performance out of it. So basically, as you can see here, the longer I'm scoped in, then the more damage I have. And then once I reach cap, then you just maintain it by staying scoped. So when you reload, just hold down the aim button and it considers you still scoped in. Now here's the other thing. You'll learn the timing on this, so this is going to be a little bit of muscle memory here, but you can actually drop your scope and then pull back in. So if you need to scan the field to find your next target, you can drop. And so there's basically a 1.5 second time frame there where it'll give you some grace and not lose your stacks. So use that to your advantage. You'll see me doing that a lot in combat. So I wasn't always sold on AK series weapons. The handling feels off at first, but I figured out they climb mostly vertical, which is easier to get used to than most ARs that pull up and to the right in a Z pattern. The AK swings up and left instead, and once you adjust to that kick, it flows very smooth because it's mostly vertical. So even though it pulls to the left, it's easier to manage than the ones to the right, but it feels awkward because it's opposite of what you're accustomed to. Still, it needs some build tweaks to stop it from bucking too much, and that's the trade-off for all of that power. But on this setup, we're putting holes right between the eyes. So that's largely due to that talent stabilize. And boy, this thing is just a laser beam. And it just makes you realize that when you're landing a lot of headshots, it just doesn't even matter. That's peak damage and diminishes whatever damage talents you have on your build, especially when you're doing it with a weapon with such high base damage as this one. So if the first sight is not for you, try this setup with other weapons. Put it on your Lexington if you want to. Run 8x and try it with stabilize and without stabilize. Try it with streamline or killer and see how it feels. But you'll find that stabilize you can get away with because you got a lot of power coming off the base of the build and the weapon itself. So the thing about the 8x scope is that it actually plays really well at close range too. By close range, I mean like around that 15-meter mark. You don't feel super zoomed in. So you can play on the go and just tag those guys just a little sooner than you would with like an SMG. And if you can get accustomed to that, it's an easy way to pick up 30% more headshot damage by running that scope, which is not a little thing. You might say to yourself, well, the pristine example is not getting max stacks when I'm on the move. It doesn't seem to be a huge problem. It does stack quite aggressively at 6% per second. So at 2 seconds, you're already half of obliterate. Yeah, you're gonna get more out of it by hanging tight, but you can still play aggressive. So just because you're playing from cover with a scope doesn't mean you can't play aggressive. Let me know what you guys think about headshot-based assault rifle builds. Have you tried them yet? See you at the rendezvous. Thank you for hanging out with me. If this one landed right, do me a favor. Smash that like, sub, and flip on notifications so you catch everything I'm cooking up next. Huge shout out to all you channel members and donors out there. You're the real MVPs keeping Tux Nation rolling and growing stronger every day. If you're feeling the vibe, come join Tux's Players Club. Doors wide open for everyone. Kick it with hundreds of banditos powering this community and unlock a bunch of sweet perks, plus my raved about gamer music playlists. Perfect timing too. Fresh beat packs just dropped for the Bandito to the Bone level. We're talking regular waves of pure gaming music fire for our top supporters. Click join or the link in the description for the full scoop on everything. Seriously, jump in if it feels right. Can't wait to see you on the member side.
Wait, did we just become best friends?